I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 319. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends all over the world. How are you today? Well, I gotta say for me, I'm doing pretty darn good, and I'm going to tell you why. And also, I have got a fantastic podcast for you because I have a step that I want to teach you today that I teach all my private clients. And the reason that it's so important is because if you skip this step, you will probably end up yo-yo dieting again. So, I am going to get into that in a minute, but I just want to tell you a little bit about me because I know you're also interested in me. But really, I think it's nice to share just a little bit. And as most of you know, I had a new granddaughter that was kind of like a miracle granddaughter because I didn't think I was having any more grandkids because my son and daughter did not think they were having any more kids. So they did. And it's a miracle and it's a surprise. And so it's always so much fun to talk about her because now she is 5 months old and her name is Azalea Deb Butler. And we call her Zaylee. And she just turned 5 months on May 4th. She was born on December 4th. And on the day of her birth, I just want you to know that it was the most miraculous day of my life. And those of you who have been listening to this podcast for a while have heard me talk about this. But, if you're just coming in today, it's always nice to know a little bit about the host that's giving you advice. And I will tell you that day, watching the birth of my granddaughter, because it was the first birth I actually saw when I wasn't actually giving birth. And really, to be honest, when I was giving birth, I didn't really see too much. I just was feeling a lot of things and just trying to deliver a baby. So I really didn't get to experience what I got to experience watching and being the observer and not going through it. And let me tell you something. When that little girl was delivered, when my beautiful daughter, she's my daughter in law, but I call her my daughter because it feels more like that. But when she delivered that beautiful baby, and that baby, it seemed like she rolled out, but she didn't, but she seemed like she was in a ball when she came out. And just looking at her face and looking at my son's face and my daughter's face and just being in that moment, it was very, very quiet. And yet, a full human being was delivered. I'm telling you, there is nothing like it. If you don't believe in miracles, if you don't believe in the process of life and trusting the process of life, then you've never seen a birth. Because let me tell you what, I had not a lot to do with it. And really, in reality, it's not like Jessica didn't have a lot to do with it, but the actual process of that child growing inside of her really was not up to any of us and how that whole thing happens. It truly is a thing about life and nature and being able to trust the process because that's where we all come from. And that is part of what life is. And it's also part of what we can't control because basically we can't control life. We have to decide how we're going to perceive life. And for instance, my perception of that birth, I will be changed forever in my heart and mind because what I think about it. I think that it was a miracle. I think that life is a total miracle and that we are all being protected and loved beyond what we could ever imagine. And that birth just sealed the deal. And if you like that, you can use it too. But I just want to say, because I'm talking about me a little bit, and I am almost going to hit my 70s. That was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. And a lot of things have happened to me. And my perceptions about a lot of things have happened and changed. And the reason that I'm telling you that is because from menopause on, and I know a lot of you are in the 50s, is that you just have no idea what's coming your way. And I want you to believe by listening to me that it's just going to keep getting better because it is. And part of the reason that it's going to keep getting better is because you're going to believe that it's going to keep getting better and that getting older is the best thing that's ever going to happen to you. And of course, we're talking about our bodies and we're talking about losing weight. But more than losing weight, we're really talking about how to connect into our bodies, how to take care of our bodies, how to be able to give ourselves our own self love, to be able to give ourselves what we really need. And as a product of that, your body may drop weight. Because, if you're feeding yourself too much and you're using food for totally different reasons because you're not connected to your body, you start connecting to your body, you start loving yourself, and you start using food the right way, your body's probably going to start dropping that weight like nothing. Just a thought for you to think about. And really, as I'm talking about this, I want to get into the meat and potatoes. That's a funny cliche, isn't it? There's so many cliches about food. But I want to get into what I really want to talk about today. And what I really want to talk about today that I find fascinating and at the same time, it's always this way. And what I notice with most of my private clients, and I've spoken a lot on podcasts about how you think and feel about the scale, but I want to bring it just a little bit further about what you decide to think if you're not losing weight. Because in your process of what you're doing and connecting, you are going to have times where you are not losing weight. And I'm telling you right now that what you think about those times is what will decide for you if you make this the last time you ever have to lose weight again. So, what I want to start with is I want to tell you the one thing you can't do when you're not losing weight. I'm going to tell you the first step to skip if you're not losing weight. And that is do not beat yourself up. Do not have a pity party. Do not throw a fit. Now, the reason I say this is because I've worked with hundreds of women. And most of the time, if I get on a call with a woman and she says, I've been doing all the things, I'm eating between the twos, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm not losing weight. Most of the time, the feeling that is created is not happiness or curiosity or wonderment. It's always frustration and more so the feeling of wanting giving up. And the reason for this is because this step that I'm telling you to skip, you've got to skip. No pity parties and no tantrums. Because listen, I know you think, okay, now I'm not doing this or I've done this, or maybe you're doing everything I've said and the scale's not changing. If you get mad and angry, I don't know who you're getting mad and angry at. It's either going to be at yourself or it's going to be at the scale or it's going to be at me or it's going to be at my process. But whatever it is, usually when you get angry or when you get frustrated, what you end up doing, and if you, those of you who know the model, in the action line, what do you do if you're not losing weight? If you're thinking either I've done something wrong, or if you're thinking it's not working, or if you're thinking it's always like this, any of those types of thoughts that create feelings of anger and frustration, most likely what you're going to end up doing, what your action line is going to look like is you're going to end up overeating. You're going to end up using more joy foods. You're going to try to use joy foods to make you feel better. And basically, what's going to happen from that type of thinking is you're going to create a result, probably of not losing weight for sure, maybe gaining weight, but proving the thought that you're thinking that it's not working. And I know when this happens, it's good to notice if you feel the feeling, but to be able to go through the whole model into the action line and use it against you is not useful. So listen very closely to me. You don't want to do this. You get on the scale. I don't care if it's been a week, 2 weeks, or it's been 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it's been. Throwing a fit is not going to help. Getting angry is not going to help. The feeling that you really want to be able to create is a feeling of either curiosity or determination or some kind of strong feeling that makes you want to do something that's going to help you. So here's what I have to tell you. The step you don't want to do is throw a fit. The step you do want to do is you want to be able to see what you're thinking and then change what you're thinking. Because what you think, just like if you think it's not working, or if you're thinking, I've done everything and it's not working. Oh, I hear that a lot. All you're going to create is everything you don't want. And you don't want any more of not losing weight. You want to figure out why you're not losing weight. And there's a multitude of reasons all the time. But knowing that if you're going to make this the last time, then you have to know that when the scale doesn't budge, you managing your thinking around that and getting very, very skilled at it is probably the best step I will ever give you. Because if you don't let that number frustrate you, if you don't let the weight loss, if you're not losing weight, if you don't let it cause negative emotion, you manage it, I promise you, you will end up losing the weight that you want. Because this is what massive action is that I've talked about on podcasts. Massive action just means you keep doing whatever it takes till you get the result that you want. So if you're not losing weight and you use massive action, you just keep using more actions till you get what you want. And I would say 99% of the time, you will. So here's what I want to offer you if you're not losing weight. Number one, you are not going to throw a fit. You are not going to act like a 2 or 3 year old and throw a temper tantrum because it's not useful. It won't help. And if anything, it's going to cause the opposite reaction. It's not going to give you anything of what you want, except make sure you don't lose weight. So here's how to change your thinking if you're not losing weight, because when you can believe a thought, so let's just say if we're looking at the model, for those of you who know the model, you'll understand it a little bit better. For those of you who don't know the model, I'll explain it to you so you understand it. So we have a fact or a circumstance. And the circumstance or the fact is no weight loss. You can prove it in court. And no weight loss all by itself is basically neutral. There is no emotion to it until it triggers something in your mind. And if it's triggering a thought like I've just spoken about, like it's not working, it's never worked before, I can never do this, you are going to end up causing negative emotion. You're going to cause actions that are going to be exactly what you don't want to be doing. Let's say you've been doing all the things that you think you need to be doing, and then you have the thought that it's not working. I bet you what happens in your action line is you start doing less of what you've been doing and create more of what you don't want. That's just the way the model looks with that kind of thinking over the scale, over no weight loss. But if you use the scale like this, like, okay, the scale says no weight loss. If you use a thought like this, then it's going to be more useful. I'm going to share it with you. But let me say right off the bat that when I share these thoughts with you, the only way they're going to work with for you is if they can change your feeling. So, as I go over some of these thoughts that you might be able to use, you'll know if you can use it because you'll feel the change in your body. It will resonate with you. And if it changes the feeling, then it's like trying on a dress and you go, it looks perfect. You try on a thought, it changes the feeling. That's the thought for you. So here's some thoughts that I want you to think about. Here's one that I use a lot with my private clients is I will figure it out no matter what. Now, if you think about it, and when I'm coaching my clients, I like to show them all the things they have figured out. They have figured out for themselves over time many, many things. And this is really no different. And all you have to say to yourself is you can go back to an incident where you figured it out, even though it was hard, and know that you're going to figure this out too. Because I promise you, if you're willing to figure it out no matter what, more than likely that thought will create a result of figuring it out. Now, you may have to change your actions, you may have to do different things, but you are more likely to figure out what to do and you'll get more creative if you have this feeling of either determination or curiosity. And I did a podcast with one of my clients quite a while ago. In fact, I did two podcasts with her. One right after she finished my program, and she still wanted to lose some weight. And then she came back on again after she had finished losing the weight, even though she wasn't working with me. She just kept using the tools. So she came back on to talk about her journey. And one of the things with her, while I'm bringing it up, is that she had some complications from blood sugar issues, and she thought that she had figured it out. And I would say for many of the weeks that we were working, she wasn't losing weight. And because she decided to use the thought, as I will figure it out no matter what, it took a while and it took finding a right doctor. And she didn't just go to one doctor and some reading before she found what it would take for her to be able to lose the weight. And she did. And you know what? It took some work, it took some time. It took being able to feel determined or curious when she wasn't losing the weight. And at the same time, she held space for herself for the frustration. So I'm saying you might get on there and you might feel that frustration and you may see the thought, but you don't have to fulfill it by bringing it all the way through to the action and the result. You can interrupt it by holding, I know, sweetheart, I know this is frustrating. And then you can just create a new thought from that. But we're going to figure it out no matter what, just like we always do, because you always do. You can probably go back to so many things in your life where you figured things out that you can be the person that says, I know how to figure things out. You know what? If you're in your 50s and you have 5 decades behind you, you've probably got a lot there. But if you end up going to a thought like, I've never been able to do this before, and it's just like this, all your mind's going to do is go back into your life and show you all the things how you've never been able to do it because you're thinking it. But if you think, I always figure it out, you know what your brain's going to do? It's going to take you back and show you all the things that you figured out, and you are going to feel more powerful than ever. And feeling empowered is a wonderful feeling to create if you're not losing weight. Because in the end, there is something that you're doing, something that you're putting in your mouth that is not working for you. And I think the feeling of curiosity is also a wonderful feeling to create. Like, I wonder what's going on. I wonder what I can change. Because if you're thinking like that, you're going to create curiosity and you're going to open your mind to either looking at food journals or if you're being coached by me for me to be able to help you, or even a friend if you're doing this with a friend. But your mind has to be open to see it. I'll tell you another thought too that would be really good. I think you can think something like, I will do whatever it takes. I think you can think something like this: nothing has gone wrong. This is part of the process. And I think that's a really powerful thought because it is part of the process. And when you can make friends with the scale, with whatever number it gives you, when you can make friends with it and you don't make it the ruler or the decider of your emotions for the day, then you can use it to help you lose weight. you know, you become empowered by using it as a tool instead of a barometer of your emotions. So, is that helpful? Because this is what I think. I think if from here on out, I'm not saying I'm really thrilled for you if you don't lose weight, but I can tell you that if you manage your mind around not losing weight, you will learn so much about yourself and about your mind and about your body. And that is the way that you make this the last time you ever have to lose weight again, because you know how to manage your mind around the scale and you know how to manage your mind when things aren't going your way. About anything, not just about the scale, anything. You become powerful. You use your brain to help you, not hurt you. That's what I got for you today. That is what I got for you today. And that is what I want you to think about all week. And I want you to look forward to getting on the scale. And whatever it says, maybe the thought for you is, whatever this says, I'll learn something. Whatever it says, I know I'm going to get to where I want to go. This is just a tool. And maybe you get a little excited about getting on the scale only so you can learn how to manage your mind better, because managing your mind is what's going to help you lose weight around the scale. Even more so than what you put in your mouth or not put in your mouth, because what you put in your mouth is all determined, because that's an action, is all determined by what you think and feel first before you put it in your mouth, right? If you're overeating, it's probably because you're thinking it's not working. If you're thinking something like, I'm going to do whatever it takes, you're going to start testing things in your action line to see what might work and what might work. So do that this week. Be empowered by the scale. Be empowered with whatever it has to say to you. And of course, no matter what else you do today, and no matter where else you go today, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself. And as usual, I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.